Hi, welcome to this screencast on how to create diagrams to visualize active record models in your Rails projects. I'll be showing you a couple of ways to do this. But first, why do you want to do something like this? The reasons are many. For example, you could just do this to get an idea of what models are involved and how they relate to each other to get a big picture view of a project. A new project you just started in a new version maybe you be working on, or you just want to learn from some open source projects where advanced Ruby developers using some techniques and how they would solve a certain problem and so on. So you get an idea of how things are structured, and that's what it's useful. And also you can use it as a way to improve your existing models and simplify it. Okay, let's get started. I first installed the gem which is required, which is you do it by doing sudo gem install. It's called Railroad. That is the tool which will generate the dot dot some file name dot dot extension thing which we could transform to a PNG file. I'll show this thing. So first you need to install. Once you install it, then I'm going to use the cookbook as an example here. Then you can do railroad, run the railroad command with some options passed into it. Okay, like this. And you just run this and it will generate the dot models dot in this case. Okay, and you can refer the documentation for what the switches do and what are the options you have. Okay, now we have this models dot here, and you also need a utility. So we got the railroad install, and there's good documentation here. You can go through them and learn more about this. And you also need this Graphviz. It's available as a standalone package, or you could also do a sudo port install Graphviz. And I installed it as a gem as a standalone package, and so I can actually run a command which will transform. I have Graphviz in my bin directory, so I invoke this command to convert the models.dat into models.png. Okay, now there's my models.png. Let's just open this and take a look at there it is. You have category and you have recipe, and it shows the cardinality and all the attributes and it types and so on. Using the switches, you can actually um, not display any of these fields in that. In If you have too many models, you can just get a big picture view. If you don't want to go into lower level details, you can ignore them. Okay, so now I'll show you another alternative way of doing it, and that is based on this blog post by Alex Shafi at Pivotal Labs. He actually installs, he does have GraphViz installed as a, I think it's gem using Mac ports, and then he uses a rect task to create this kind of a diagram. So let's copy the rect task. I'm just going to copy whatever he has in his blog into the libtasks directory. Okay, let's do that now. Lib tasks. I'm going to call this as dot dot rake. Okay, now I can do rake dot. Okay, like this. And that will generate a dot file which can be converted to graphics. Okay, now the issue here is this particular rake task is written for Rails 123, but Rails 2.0 has removed the access list. It's not part of the framework anymore, so it's kind of having difficulties. So if you have a Rails 123 or 126, any of those lower versions of the project, you can actually just do a rake dot, and then that will generate the dot file, and then you can use the same command that we used using the grapefreeze to convert to a PNG file. In that case, you can see the picture like shown in that blog. So I did do this using older projects, but this particular project is using Rails 2.0 version. For older versions, you can visualize this way if you prefer it this way. Okay. So before I just wrap up, I just want to quickly show you one more thing. I'm using Rails 2.0 version, and I don't have any plugins or anything as such. I can, if I do rake Rails freeze gems, okay, it's freezing to the gems for Rails 2 or 2. Okay, where do you want to do that? So if you go here, now it has a local copy of this Rails. Now when Rails boots up, it will look for existence of this Rails directory under vendor plugins. If it finds it, it will use this instead of the gems installed on the machine. This way, no matter regardless of where you deploy your application, this particular version of Rails is available, and your code will not be impacted just by accidental upgrade to something else. Okay, now what I want to do is I want to unfreeze this and then freeze it to a specific version, Rails 123, and then we'll run the rake task. Okay, let's do rake as freeze gems. Let's say version is 123, and then we'll also change the environment in the environment.rb. We'll specify 123 instead of, I don't want to use 2 or 2, 1 2 3. Okay, and this way let's see if we can get the rake task working. So we've frozen the gems to 1 2 3, so all the active record gems are now frozen to Rails 1 2 3. We change the environment. Let's give this thing a shot. Rake dot. Okay, there are certain methods which is very specific to Rails 2.0 that's being used, so it's having difficulties. But you get the idea. You could actually go back, or if your project is already using Rails 123 version, then you can do it this way. So I hope you learned something from this screencast, and if you enjoyed it, please recommend me on working with Rails. Thank you.